Hey everybody, so we are going to do a couple bridges today here in Lebanon County. There's two of them that are out. There's actually a couple more than that too. I think there's like 3 or 4, maybe even 5, but they just did the 72 bridge. A lot of these bridges here in Lebanon County, they have that same sort of look. They were probably done either late 1800s through like 1920, and they were all sort of done the same way. We're going to check out this particular bridge, which is Yordy's Bridge Road. This is Yordy's Bridge. I believe there's a reason it's named Yordy's Bridge. It's after one of the guys that was, one of the first settlers or families that was in this area. It was built right around, I believe, 1900. They didn't have a lot of the dates for the bridges back then. They aren't terribly great, so they don't always know the exact date these things were built, especially sort of these flat bridges, as I'll show you here. It's not like some of the ornate iron bridges that they had that we visited a couple of those, where they have the actual company that made them, architects and that type of stuff, and then the date in which they were built. So I'm going to flip this around so we can check this bridge out. Now here we have Yordy's Bridge Road. It's just, as you can see, the deterioration. I believe Cliff was just showing a bridge on Route 443 North near Sudburg, and that one, like the underside of it, was really bad. So I'm assuming probably the underside of this is terrifying. If you go like on a kayak or canoe or whatever down here on the Swatara Creek and you went underneath it, you would probably be terrified that people were actually driving over it. But they just eventually they reach a point where the bridges are deemed not necessarily safe to continue driving over them, just weight wise. If somebody would go over it, that something bad could potentially happen. So they eventually shut them down until they're able to get to these bridges to be able to replace them. Some of them have been shut down for quite a while just because they're not that important. And there's other ways to get to areas other than that. You see the main thing here in the middle. It's actually sort of cool. Very windy today. But this is Yordy's Bridge, and I think it was shut down this last year in 2024. They deemed it that it had just reached a stage where it was no longer safe. Very cool history in this area. Whether it is the other way or this way, there's actually an area where supposedly there are caves that were used as places of refuge during the French and Indian War by the settlers if attacks came through, that are in this area somewhere. But this Swatara Creek, just in general, has a lot of great history, as does Yordy's Bridge. History is out there, my friends. Hey everybody, we are back at another bridge here. This is a couple days later. We're here with Chuck. I will let you know the name. It starts with an L. This is another one of those iron bridges that they've shut down here in Lebanon County. So we're going to walk across it. We're going to show you as it goes over the Swatara Creek and go from there. I gotta be a little careful here in the snow. There's some kitty cat tracks. This has actually been shut down for quite a while now. Like I said, it starts with an L. I'll give you that name then. I'm assuming, this is a much less dramatic, like the iron bridges that we've visited in Inwood, and then the Waterville Bridge that was brought down from Waterville in north central Pennsylvania, I think up in Lycoming County. This is sort of, I think right around 1900, late 1800s is when this would have been put up. But this is sort of your traditional, I don't want to say lower end iron bridge. These are not Ralph's favorite because he doesn't like open grate bridges over water. But this is what this bridge is, and I didn't see any plaques on the side we just came from, and I don't see any on this other side. I will give a little more information at the end of the video, but just a pretty little area. I'll admit it is a little unnerving looking down through the grate at times, but another beautiful location right over here over the Swatara Creek. Looks like there's a big stone out there in the middle of the creek, but these are just sort of, you know, here in Lebanon County, it's another one of these pretty iron bridges. Very simple, little, you know, the architecture isn't quite as ornate as, for instance, the Annville Iron Bridge. We did a video on that where we talked about all the different unique, like the Z, it's like it's some kind of Z thing, that how everything's linked up and held together, the architecture of these things. But a lot of these iron bridges were very popular back in that time period of you know, that late 1800s through the 1900s. Were very, very important in that era. It was a little bit of a cheaper way to do a bridge than a concrete bridge, and beautiful trees over there too. But it's just one of those things that was necessary back in the day. They were sort of transitioning from covered bridges, which were the popular way. And here in Lebanon County, interesting fact, they actually had quite a few covered bridges. There are no more covered bridges here in Lebanon County. We visited a couple different places. They had quite a few. Unfortunately, they had an arson that was going around, I believe in the 50s, the last 3 or 4 that were here in Lebanon County, and they lit them all on fire, which is a real shame, because that's a heritage back to the 1800s, like mid 1800s. And then this is sort of the bridges that sort of took over, and you see a lot, like Yordy's bridge that we showed earlier in the video. You started to see that specific type of concrete bridges, and now you're starting to see those ones that haven't been replaced are really, really deteriorating and are on their last legs. So here in Lebanon County, I believe we have 4 bridges that are still closed. 2 of them are iron bridges like this, and then 2 are concrete bridges like Yordy's. The other one like this is actually within about 3 miles of this. I used to have a friend that we got the guys together. We played Lord of the Rings as a strategy battle game. He would come with in that bridge. It was like a golf road or something like that, and that one's in way worse shape than this, but that one probably will be a long time till it gets replaced, because like this, they're not in an area that it's necessary to have them, so they can take their time. And replacing these bridges, it costs a good $2 million or more, so they have to find the money, find the time, and all that kind of stuff. But really, really pretty location. Glad I came out here today. Just hearing the creek, it's just got such a sound. And then with the snow on the ground, the ice on the river and all that, it's quite cool. You guys can see down through the grate there what it looks like. Like, Ralph does not like that. But anywho, that's just wanted to show you guys a couple cool bridges and talk about them a little bit. And I'll have a little bit more information once again at the end of the video of the exact name of this bridge, and maybe some more information on, I think they were saying around 1900 to 1909 was when this was built, which would make a lot of sense. But this is part of our hometown history. So yeah, this is sort of cool coming out. I love these old bridges and stuff like that, the architecture of them. You know, this one's pretty, it looks very simplistic, but there's an art to this, and quite a bit more than you'd think with these. But this is much more simplistic in the style and the look of it than, say, Annville or Waterville Bridge, which I know Waterville is a National Registry of Historic Places. I'm not sure if the Annville one is or not, but it's beautiful what they did in restoring it. So as always, I want to say thanks for coming along. I'll have a little bit more information, including the name. I forgot to look it up this morning when I went out. So we'll see you all about town. Hey, so I said I was going to have this last little bit. The bridge we just visited is Levans Iron Bridge. I haven't been able to find why it's called Levans. Probably unlike Yordy's, maybe named after a family, a certain individual. But anyways, this bridge was built in 1904. It's been closed down since 2019. I guess they found some structural damage with the rust and stuff like that. And I think that's one of those bridges that it's out in the country, so it's less the cars. I wouldn't want to take Chuck across it, but a lot of farm equipment probably was going across that, and farm equipment being much heavier just made the bridge a danger. It's much like there's another bridge over, I believe, on Gulf Road that I was talking about. It's an iron bridge, very simple in design, much like that, and that was closed down well before even that. I think that was like 2015, maybe even earlier. And that one was more farm equipment would have been going across it. People would take it as I used to take it as sort of a shortcut through, but that one also had some major structural issues. What I was able to find, Yordy's, is that was 1924, but I've also read several places that that particular place or that time is probably about 20 years earlier, but that's just sort of they put a basic date in for a lot of those concrete bridges if the records aren't there. They believe that one is much earlier, and it was named after, I think, a local family in North Annville Township there that would have been around probably from the early settling days, 1800s at the latest. But that bridge as well is one of those things that, like I had said about in the Levans, when I was at the Levans Bridge, a lot of these bridges, you have your state bridges. A great example of that is a 72 bridge that just got done over the Swatara. That was, I believe, owned by the state, maybe the county, but the money was there. A lot of these bridges sometimes are township, so them trying to come up with the $3 million to replace that bridge is why they sit there for so long. Unfortunately, it's just sort of the money isn't there for the transportation costs and the infrastructure, but it's got a beauty all its own. I took a couple pictures there after I did the videoing, and it's just neat seeing these videos. So I'm gonna go to, I think there's another 2 or 3 of them. So I'm gonna probably go and visit those with you as well at some point coming up. It's something pretty simple to film, and it's just a simple, quick walk as well. But anyways, I want to say thank you as always for you guys coming along, checking out a couple of these bridges, Yordy's Bridge and the Levans Iron Bridge. So as always, I want to say thanks for coming along, and we'll see you all about town.